Okay, first things first. This is only going to cover doing docking using RCS. So that means you're going to need RCS propellant, and you're going to also need thruster blocks, just in case that wasn't clear. Okay. It doesn't matter how your vessel is set up. This launch is actually irrelevant. I'm going to get up into an orbit, and I'm going to fast forward through that whole process and get this into an orbit around Kerbal, and then talk you through the rest of it. All right, once we're up here, you need to make sure that you're going the same direction as the vessel that you're docking with. So as you can see, I went in an eastward motion, so we're going to be heading in this exact same orbital type pattern that the vessel is that we're going to dock with. Another important factor, in case nobody has ever explained it to you, is that the docking ports must be the same. You cannot dock with you can't do the regular with the junior, or vice versa. So let's go ahead and go with that. And there's 35 seconds left. All right. So this is good enough. Your very next step will obviously be getting your orbit on the same plane, the same inclination as that in which you're trying to dock. This does not matter. There's only one thing that will change depending upon whether you're on the inside, orbiting on the inside of your target, or orbiting around the outside of your target. There's only one difference, and I will point that out here shortly. But first, let's fix this inclination. So the first thing you're going to do is set the target, and then you'll have your ascending and descending nodes. Doesn't matter which of these you choose first, but in order to help keep your orbital pattern roughly symmetrical, if you're in a fairly circular pattern, you do half of the maneuver on one side, the other half on the other. It doesn't matter which way you go, but it helps to not pass up this one to go to this one, just to come back to this one. So we're going to start on the ascending node. Right here. We're going to add a maneuver. And we're going to do about half. We're going to do about half of that. All right, so watch the little dotted line as it gets to roughly half, right? Halfway between. So just a hair more. It doesn't have to be precise or exact, but get roughly half, because what's going to happen is, as you can see, on this side, it's going to stretch out a little bit. Okay? Now, when we come over to this side, it's going to stretch that side out just as much, so it'll keep you in a fairly circular pattern. And you can see I've got an 8-second burn, so let's go ahead and whip around. And don't worry if you don't have the maneuver node available, or as a matter of fact, if you don't have any of these available, look for the matching symbol that you used on the node. As long as you're not using more than one node at a time to make a complex maneuver, you can just stick to the center of the node and do a fairly slow burn and keep it on target. But since I have the maneuver node, I'm going to use that. It's more precise. And then what I like to do, I don't trust the timer as far as the burn time is concerned. I watch for these to line up. Okay. Now, I need to separate this and separate this. Let's go back. It's a little odd here. Let's just go in the opposite direction. So I've screwed that up. No big deal. I'm actually still docked. So what I need to do is undock. And this is just for me. And then I'm going to hit the bracket key to switch to this one. And I've got this one set for reverse because it was sitting upside down on top of that. And I wanted my gimbal controlling correct while I was launching from the surface. So let me go ahead and put this back to default. As you can see, I'm now pointing at the wrong one. Right? Well, this isn't going to matter for right now. I'm now going to come over. Now I need to reset my target because it has now changed and I'm well past. So let's go over here. And I got close enough to that other one that I'm just going to go ahead and do the full burn over here to match it up. This side's going to be ascending. Let's go ahead and move it up. See, let's do that one. There we go. And then over here on the maneuver node, I'm going to turn down this a little bit. It's a little too fine. Let's turn it up. Okay, so we're still going down. Get it at 0, as close to 0 as you can. Now, if you're not doing it directly on the, if you didn't set it directly on the ascending or descending node, this may never actually reach 0.0. But as you can see, we've got it there now. So let's go ahead and whip around to this side. And this is one of the most efficient ways to fix/adjust your inclination without really throwing off your orbital pattern. 48 seconds. Let's go ahead and fast forward that. As soon as I see 15 pop up here. All right, get ready for my burn. And we'll watch very carefully. And we'll turn it down and wait for it right there. As soon as it highlights a light green, you'll see those dots. And of course, hit OK on that, and you can see it's still 0, 0. So we are now on correct orbital pattern. You can see the old orbital pattern. I've got some space junk floating. Now, let's go ahead and all right, now, whether you're on the outside or the inside doesn't matter. Okay? The only difference is whether you're going to do a prograde or a retrograde burn. to match the speed of this, but we're not going to do that yet. The first thing that we've got to do, and I'm actually going to get rid of this white line. Let me go to the tracking station and get rid of the debris so it's a little easier for us to see. So this one, so you see here it says Entrepreneur 1, and this one says Entrepreneur 1 ship. The ship is the one with our Kerbals are actually in it. This is the actual crap. So we will come select that, come down here and hit terminate, and it will get rid of it. Now we are the only one here. All right. Now let's go ahead and click on that and then click fly. All right, here we are. Now let's go back out to our quote unquote map view. Now, where you click on this does not matter at this point. Now, the object is to get one side touching as close as possible to the other. Okay, so we'll just set up a node here, and we will prograde. Now, if you were on the outside of this, you would be selecting retrograde. You would be pulling a retrograde to move it to this line, okay? So we're not there yet. Let's come over here, tap our prograde. There we go. So now you've got this intersect here, and this one here. We're going to right click on that. So if you don't know, you can right click to pin. When it dims out like that, it's staying. Right click again to make it go bright, and it'll disappear whenever you let go. All right. So as you can see, our target is going to be at one spot while we're at another. This is the target position at the intersect, and this is the intersect. This is where we're going to be at. Okay. So we need to get these two lined up. You will do this by changing your orbit, the number of orbits. We will do this first. Touch nothing else. As you can see, it's getting closer and closer. Aha. Now, you see separation's 26 kilometers. What happens if we hit one more? It's too far, so let's go back to. All right, so we're right here. Separation is 26 kilometers. That's way too far, but it's close enough for this next part. So this next part, you want to feather between your retrograde and your prograde, and these two, instead of clicking and dragging this, because you can click and drag this right here. See how that middle ring highlights? You could drag that, but instead we're going to use this. This right here, this slider, this sensitivity slider is also directly affects this as well. So we will move to the right, and as you can see, it's getting farther, so that's not what we want. We want it closer. So let's keep clicking back. So we got, okay, now it's getting bigger. So let's go back to the lowest point, which was 8.4, 8.1, 8. Okay, so 8, right? Now we're going to click prograde one time, 2 times. See how it's getting smaller? Keep going until it pretty much stops. Right now it's getting bigger. So let's go back. And let's move this maneuver. Let's scroll it down a little bit more. 6.6, 3, 2, 1. Okay. And that's literally all you will be doing. 5.2. Okay. Let's go back to 5.2. You'll just be going between these and the prograde. That is it. You no longer have to mess with the orbit. Do not hit these after you've gotten it close that first time. All right, so we'll keep going with this until we get it as close as possible. right? Keep sliding your scale down so you get it closer and closer. 4, 3, 2. All right, we're back to 3 again. So let's go ahead and move this. 3.8, 3.765, back to 6. Let's hit this prograde. 4, 3, 2, 1, 9. All right, now we're going back up. So let's go ahead and move this to the side, and we'll keep going until a couple of clicks makes no changes. Then we'll hit prograde again. Watch this drop. All right. Keep clicking that. Oh. There we go. Click it a couple more times. 8, 7. All right, 9. There we are at 5. Okay, so let's drop this all the way down now. Prograde is not doing it any justice. Neither is that. So this is about as close as we can get this one. Let's see if a retro will get us any closer. No. No. Okay. So relative speed's about 200, 198 per second. Now that we've got this, right? As long as you're under 1,000, if this wasn't it, then you would need to keep messing with the orbits until you got closer, right? So if, let's say, this was still 2,000 away and we couldn't get it any closer, then we would need to start tapping our orbits until it actually until it dropped down. Now, the other thing, so this is the next very important the next important piece of information. You should only have one colored intersect line. If you have more than one colored intersect line, I think you'll see like a green or a purple. You'll see 2 different intersects, right? Different colored intersects. If that's the case, that's because this is going past this and then back in. You don't want that. That will completely screw up trying to, well, you can probably still do it, but it's going to be a major pain in the rear end. All right. So it says the start burn times in 5 hours. So we've got this. Let's go ahead and hit this. You don't want to use the fast forward because you might, we had to do extra orbits, right? We clicked orbit a few times to get to this point where we're at. So let's go ahead and hit this, and it will automatically get you the number of orbits that you skipped through to get to that point. Had we burned right there in front of us, we would have screwed up this whole thing. All right, here we go. Now, this part is pretty crucial. So what I like to do is center focus on this. And I'll zoom in and burn time in 47 seconds. So let's go ahead and scoot this up. All right. 18-second burn time. So I'm going to start at a full burn, and I'm going to use my left control to slow it down as we get closer. All right. That's what we want to do, is watch this. We want to get that as close to the money as we possibly can. About as close as I can get it. So let's go ahead and kill that. And what's it say? We're 1 kilometer away. All right, that's it. All right, 0.7. Now we're going to come over to this point here, warp. We're going to want to set this to prograde. Now, when you get about 30 seconds from this intersection, it is imperative, absolutely imperative, that you do not use target or anti-target. Target and anti-target will literally point your engines at your target, and that will completely throw off your orbit. You must use prograde or retrograde, depending upon if you're on the inside or the outside when you're doing this. If you're on the inside like I am, you're going to want to go prograde, because that's going to stretch this out and it's going to bring you up to match speed with your target. If you're on the outside and you're coming in, then that means you're probably you're going faster. You're going to need to slow down. So it's going to bring in your outside edge to match. So you absolutely have to use prograde or retrograde in order to not screw up your orbital pattern. Okay. And currently we are 3 minutes out. So let's fast forward this some. And let's stop here, and also make sure that you switch this to target. Okay. This is going to, so the target current speed is 196, right? So what we're going to do is when we get here, we're going to burn prograde until this reaches 0. When that reaches 0, we are matching the speed of the target. That means the target is no longer going faster or slower than we are. So what do we got? We got another minute left. Let's go ahead and fast forward some. About 30-second mark. We'll call that good, and we will looks like I had that backwards. We switched to target, not orbit. If I hadn't switched, but you wouldn't see the speed. So let's go ahead and get this down. Six, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. All right, there we go. There we go. Okay, so with the information that I just told you was a little backwards. I know, I'm sorry for that. When you switch to target, you got to switch to target so you can see your relative speed. So if you're on the inside and you're matching speed, yes, it's kind of backwards. Why would you retrograde? And well, that's because it's going to flip you around in the appropriate direction and point your engine in such a manner. So that is not the same as target and anti-target. All right, now that we're here, let's come around. Let's turn on RCS. And let's aim at the target. There it is. All right, now it's a little far away because I screwed up that first one. All right, that went when I went the wrong direction to start with. However, this is still not a problem. This is what you'll do. Your WASD, you can see this pink target, that's your target, okay? WASD is how you get centered on that. Your I, J, K, and L is literally transforming you I for up, K for down, J for strafe left, L for strafe right. So basically I, K, J, and L are strafing. H and N are forward thrust and reverse thrust respectively. So let's go ahead and hold down the H, and you'll see this will start. You can see our target speed here, and you will see this drop. Yeah, making sure. There it goes. Okay. So let's get this going a little faster here. You don't want to use your thrusters really. You can to kind of help close this gap faster if you want to, but it would behoove you to change your thrust limiter so you don't overdo it. However, as you can see, 6.8 milliseconds or meters per second, I'm sorry, is just fine. And it's manageable because we're going to have to use the N key to slow down once we get closer. Now, if you're not, now let's say, so this is why this information is important. The reason why this information is important is because you won't always be on the same plane like I just got. I got semi lucky with my inclination changes. And I ended up being able to be on the same plane. Now, sometimes it will be higher than you or lower than you, or it'll be off to one of the sides. You will need to know what I didn't know was using WASD will help turn to get this orange dot to center up with this pink target. That will keep the front of you pointed at it. So using WASD was something that nobody really explained in any of their videos. And then on top of that, the mandatory using prograde, retrograde to match speed before you switch over to RCS. And you when you switch over to RCS, that's when you can really use target and anti-target more effectively. So even with that screw up, we're still okay. We were just a bit farther. And you can see this here. So your I, K, J, and L will move that prograde. So you'll need to fight it because it's going to want to make you move. So get that prograde pushed in there and use WASD to get your orange vector. So now I've got it all centered up. So now when I use H and N, this is almost exactly precise. If you've ever tried to dock and you get to like within a certain speed and then it shoots in the other direction, it never actually goes to zero. This is why you didn't have these lined up. So once I get to within about 100 meters, I'm going to slow down to say 2 meters a second. All right, so let's go ahead and slow way down here. And of course, you can use your right click and drag to change the angle of your view. It will not screw up how you're looking at the vessel or how you're aimed at the vessel. So I'm going to take it all the way down to nothing if possible. Let's get this down. All right. Let's go ahead and slow down more. All right, it disappeared. That's because we're super close. All right, now we're at 0. So I want to find my docking port, which is right here. Double click that. Now my target has changed. Okay, I'm still pointing at it, but it's kind of off to the side. So let's go ahead and swing to the side. And we're going to push ourselves down. And we're going to push ourselves forward a hair. Now let's go ahead and counteract what we were doing earlier. Bring this in line. And we're still pushing forward. Let's make it a little faster. Don't want to be all day. And this is pretty much it, right? Like, I probably don't have to actually do the docking, but I'm just going to, for principle's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. 0.5 meters per second, you should be okay to actually... Let me get this wrong one. Let me get this centered. There we go. Now, let's just slightly tap H, get forward on that. We're going to use I to kind of push us down. And now this target is keeping us pointed at it. Let's tap forward some more. Slow it down to 1. Let's push ourselves up a hair. That was the mag lock that pushed us in there. There it is, captured. All right. And that's all there is to it. This is actually, once you understand the mechanics of the orbital change, this becomes extremely easy. I had nothing but problems. Took me forever to even get on the same orbital path as the vessel I was trying to dock with. Now it's not a problem. I hope you found this helpful and useful. Hit like and subscribe. I don't do many actual like tutorial videos. I mostly stream games. But yes, absolutely. If this helped you at all in understanding docking to help you be more efficient and do docking faster, please give me a like and subscribe and follow along. Thanks.